What's up, everybody? Simon here. Today I got a really interesting topic that we've all come across with friends, family, and at work. It's talking politics, when you should avoid it, how you should go about it. Before I go into this video, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. As always, comment below. Should it be done? Should you avoid it? Do you have the right to your opinion? And what happens next? So let's get into this video. So as we know, talking politics is almost forbidden with friends and family, and especially at work, considering the circumstances of this year's election. There are two different sides, and because you don't agree with one side, things have escalated to where friends are no longer friends, family is no longer talking to each other, and at a workplace, you're possibly getting fired or bullied or put on probation.
I hope you're happy. That video you posted got me fired.
So this video goes into when you should talk politics, how you should go about discussing politics, and are there situations or locations that this should not happen. This has been one of the craziest elections that we have witnessed, I personally witnessed in the last 30 years. There's been radical groups coming out on both sides. There's been kind of either you pick this side and you're this type of person, or you pick this side and you're that type of person. So values are being judged based on who you vote for. Unfortunately, that is kind of sad, and there is no open discussion, and factual based discussion is out the window. You could no longer talk politics with facts.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
It's just not inherited or not received well by the opposing party. They don't believe in it in your viewpoint, or they don't even consider it when you're discussing it. In my family, I had a very interesting situation with politics where a family member had a girlfriend that was on one side viewpoint in the political spectrum. That individual was younger than my wife and myself, and it was very difficult to be around that family member and his girlfriend, because everything around that time was about politics, and it was about what's going on in today's society, the racism component which got added into politics, and so forth. And it was just really difficult to talk to someone with police brutality or backing the police, etc. And it led to a conflict that ultimately led to these family members not talking, unfortunately. And I've learned something through that experience, and I want to share that with you guys as well. So the rule of talking politics is try to not talk politics. It's the same as religion. Don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, and you won't have any enemies, or you won't have people that unsubscribe. So before you do that, hit the like button, because I want everyone to be together and I don't want to divide anyone. But overall, if you could avoid talking politics with your family and friends, do so. There are other topics that you could both engage in that are much better than discussing politics, and that's the truth. If you're at the work environment, absolutely try to avoid discussing politics. Work adds a money component to the whole equation. If all of a sudden you offend someone that has one political viewpoint, it could potentially cost you a promotion, it could cost you your job, it could cost you a lot of things that could hurt your family. So discussing politics at work should be reframed at all times. Do not do it, and if you have to absolutely do it, take the subtle approach, no matter how much you want to tell that person what you know and what you feel should be happening in society today. When politics became a game or almost a sports-like event, that became a problem. Now people are cheering for one side or the other. They're emotionally involved in one side or the other more than they are a potential sporting event such as a Super Bowl. In fact, I bet more people know more about politics than which two teams played in the Super Bowl last year, which is pretty crazy. So you have to understand that people emphasize they have their emotions into this, and when emotions get involved into anything, decisions that are solid or factual go out the window. So when you are talking politics, whether it's with family or your friends or at work, you have to learn to listen. Listening is a great tool to show that you're hearing the other person and you're trying to make an effort to understand them versus brushing them off or interrupting them. So you want to make sure that you let that person speak their mind and let them finish.
Talk to the hand, because the face don't want to hear it anymore.
And you kind of go into that route. You're being respectful, you're listening, and then you're questioning. You don't have to give your viewpoints right away or at all during that whole conversation. And if you don't give your viewpoints, you're going to be ahead no matter what, because you're not sharing exactly what your decision or vision is, and you're not going to get in trouble because they're not going to conflict with that other person's. The second point is being respectful. That's part of listening. Being respectful to anyone basically gets you back to the level of humanity. You're human, they're human. They may have a different viewpoint. They may have a viewpoint that completely contradicts yours. However, being respectful is showing respect or treating a person the way you want to be treated. If you had something to say off your chest, you would expect that person to be respectful as well. If you're not respectful or that person is not respectful, you two don't need to have this conversation. So even if you do say something that contradicts what they're saying and they're not having it and going crazy or wild.
Triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. Lloyd, you guys, enough.
That's a conversation you need to end right there and move on and say that, hey, let bygones be bygones. Let's have a drink, or let's forget this ever happened. And it's a lot easier said than done, but you got to be respectful. Hear the person out. They should be respectful to hear you out as well. When discussing politics, you have to understand that point number 3, facts are rarely received. Unemployment numbers, police brutality numbers, race-related, non-race-related facts, and they won't receive it well. In fact, it may make that person angry.
No, and I don't care.
So you have to understand in these conversations, whether they're with your friends, with your family, or at work, facts tend to not matter, sadly, in politics. And with this being a political year, you're going to have these conversations. It's good to have your facts straight, so do your research. But when you're throwing these facts out, they may not even be received. And unfortunately, that conversation will go nowhere. The person has to understand where you're coming from with your values. So for example, if you're against abortion or you're pro-life and you name your value that you're a devoted Christian or Catholic or different religion, etc., that person may understand why you're pro-life. That's what your values are, and that's what your family has taught you. If you are pro-choice, you have to define your values as to why you're pro-choice, etc. And if you're pro-police or you are backing the blue, for example, share with them why society needs safety as the beginning to everything. So you got to name your values in the conversation to let that person understand why you're coming with that viewpoint. Lastly, when you're discussing your political viewpoints or you're listening to someone else's political viewpoints, focus on the common good. So you got to understand that whether or not you're in a political conversation at work, if you're in a political conversation at home or with your family or friends, you have to understand that this is for the common good. You guys are discussing politics for the common good of society. As friendships, the common good is to make sure your friendship prospers. In family, you stick together as a unit and always have each other's back and support each other. So that's the common good. And at work, you're part of a team that wants to have the company prosper. So if a political conversation comes up, you basically say, hey, guys, we may disagree on this, but we're here as a common good in the company. Let's make sure we get stuff done. Who knows who wins next, as long as we all have jobs and we continue to prosper in our careers. That's the common good. People want to make more money. They want to make sure their job is safe. The common good in friendship and family talk is safety in society. Hey, we want to make sure, even though we don't agree with the next candidate or whatever it may be, or the current president, we don't want to go to war. We want to make sure we're not being robbed on the street. Everybody is safe and we have work and we're, drinking water is fresh, etc. So the common good is society and your family. So be patient when you're talking about politics. Listen, understand that person's values, share your values and opinions as well. But also understand that these conversations do not need to escalate to the point where you're no longer talking to each other and ignoring your significant other or family member or coworker or whatever it may be. Don't judge the person by what they're voting for. It's not fair to them. Get to know the person you're talking to, listen to them, share your opinion, and hopefully the conversation just stays as a conversation and you two respect each other more afterwards versus hating each other.
Why be enemies? Because we're different? Think of the things that we could do. Think how strong we would be. There's nothing that we could not accomplish. Think about it. Why can't we work things out? Why can't we all just get along?
Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on talking politics with your friends, your family, and at work. Should it be done? What do you recommend? Should be avoided? What should be said? Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys here next time.